Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The next important question that is raised is that, well, if God is needless, and by definition He has to be needless, and He Himself says in the Quran, Allah ghani, wa antum al-fuqara. Allah is needless and you are the people in dire need. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, well, even if you all were to disbelieve, it will not reduce God in His authority even an iota. And it stands to reason that God, being God and most complete, cannot be in a state of need, otherwise He would not be God. So now, if God is needless, why does He require devotion from us? Allah does say, or the Quran does say, I have created or I have not created jinna wal insa illa liya'budun, for any other purpose other than worshipping me. So why does God, who is needless, require my worship? Here again, we are assuming that worship means what we have understood it to mean, a show of formalistic devotion to God. Now, if we were to look at the initial stages of the creation of Adam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that I am placing within the earth a Khalifa. Khalifa as the one who comes after, or as a representative. Both of these meanings are equally fine. Now the angels, when they protested, God reasoned with them through Adam's huge knowledge base. Now this knowledge base was given to Adam for a particular reason. Now, Quran does not make that very clear, it's ambiguous. However, by the very fact that the Muslims are told within the Quran to say to the people of the book that we believe in everything that is revealed unto us and everything revealed unto you, shows that the Muslim is giving a commitment to going and learning from previous scriptures and seeing how the ambiguities of our own scripture is clarified through former scriptures. For indeed, an author who writes sequels is not going to repeat himself, he's only going to gesture at things, expecting the reader to have already read the previous scriptures or previous writings and to fill in the gaps. Now, if we look at the previous scriptures, it states clearly that Adam was created as a steward to look after the earth of God, to maintain it, to bring it to its fullness, to nurture the earth. Now, if we look at the word ibadah properly, we will see it has layers of meanings. One of them is service, which would then mean that Adam and humanity by extension have the purpose of looking after the earth and nurturing the earth, and that is one level of service. And we find this notion of stewardship coming out from the biblical sort of texts. And we are seeing today that actually we are performing that level of service today with the refined morality that we have. We are talking about the rights of earth, rights of the animal kingdom, of the plant kingdom. We are proactively working to reduce pollution. We are talking about things that are detrimental, to stop warfare, consumerism, so on and so forth. That is one level of service where we actually physically serve and perform a task. That is known as ibadah as well. The other level of service is to show subservience to an authority. Here, the king requires servitude or a show of humility, show of being subordinate to him. Now, that is also something that we find within the religion, that God requires a show of acknowledgement of His authority and our humble state. But here you will ask, well, why does God need that? We can understand a worldly king would need it in order to reinforce his state of authority. But God, who does not need reinforcement of state of authority, why would he require such formalistic display of obedience in the form of namaz and salah and fasting and hajj, so on and so forth? We will say, well, with God it's something different. With God there is a higher purpose, that because we are embodied creatures, he wants to regulate the body in order for the real purpose to emerge. So the bodily worship that is required by God, as God says in the Quran, that whatever I have prescribed, I have only prescribed for the one who wants to make their way to me. So God does not gain anything from it. An analogy of this would be the course of study and the textbooks that are given to children to study. Now, the tutor does not require the student to study in order for the tutor to be established in their authority. The study books are given to the students for the students to actualize the knowledge base. This is how worship is to be seen in relation to God. That by those gestures of bowing and prostrating, what we are doing is we are gradually being initiated in the process of opening up within ourselves and handing ourselves over to the higher authority. So with the bodily gestures of devotion, the inner being is awoken. Once the inner being is awoken, that is when the real issue of ibadah, worship, devotion, obedience opens up. What is that? To give over our ego to God. To seek the prevalence of God above ourselves. The one thing that impedes growth and achievement of purpose in this life of ours is our own inner state of ego and arrogance, giving our own self prevalence above anything else. And that is something that becomes a barrier from growth. The Prophet of Islam said, when anybody praises you, throw dust on their faces. Why? Because as soon as somebody praises you, you become conceited or complacent. As soon as you become complacent, you lose that humility. As soon as you lose that humility, you lose that sense of lack. Devotion here means to feel that sense of lack and to hand over our will to the will of God. Now, once we hand over our will to the will of God and we come into the folds of ibadah, devotion, what happens is that we begin to lose ourselves and we begin to emerge in the image of God. We let go of our anger and we adopt the forgiving nature of God. We let go our state of greed and we become charitable like God. We let go of our state of insecurity and we become confident like God. We let go of worldly aspirations and bodily want, and we go to the meeting of the beloved. So devotion in the rightest sense is giving over our souls, hearts and minds to God, and for God to cause us to emerge in His beautiful image, and that is the completion of human worldly life journey. But it starts off through bodily gestures of bowing and prostrating. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.